And that's a strange feeling. Incidentally, I started meeting a lot of adoptees in Korea. And actually, that was a fascinating thing for me because I actually met more Korean adoptees in Korea than I had ever encountered my entire life in the United States. And some of them were there teaching, some of them were, just hanging out and had just arrived. And there were others actually there that had been there for more extensive periods of time. But it was actually through the other adoptees that I met in Korea that I really learned the most about myself. She introduced me to mihee-nathalie Lemoine.
My name is mihee-nathalie Lemoine, and my Korean name is Mihee, and I was adopted when I was 2, and I was adopted to Belgium in a French family, French-speaking family, and I was adopted in '69, early adoption in Europe, I think, and in Belgium for sure. And I'm basically a painter, and I was adopted with 3 other Korean adoptees from different families and backgrounds and cities from Korea. And we were 4 Korean adoptees in our family, no other biological sibling. And we have all very different point of view about adoption and different kind of life, I think. And I'm the only one who came back in Korea and live now for 4 years, since '93.
Mihee was actually the first European adoptee that I had ever met, and I never realized how many European and Korean adoptees there were too. But she was inspired to help adoptees to do their searches for their families because of the difficulties that she experienced in trying to find her own biological family. And in her time in Korea, she's reunited hundreds and hundreds of families and helped other adoptees do their searches too.
I found my mother in '91 after some search by myself, and I think it was at that time not many adoptees looking for the parents too. But I think many adoptees have that in mind, but they don't really want to act, and like they didn't know how to do or where to go. They didn't speak the language, and so lack of contact too. Then they just like think about, but not really act. And I try, and of course it was very hard to communicate with people, to ask. And also the question was, why do you want to find your parents? Because anyway they abandon you, and anyway you are happy. It was true. I think I'm kind of happy, but it's not only that, it's something you miss. And I think if you get the missing part, it's maybe better, or you think it would be better. Then of course if you don't know, you always want to know. That's the difference between adoptees, I think, and some other people. Yeah, I think that's what I found out in talking with many adoptees. Since I found my mother, many adoptees asked me how it was, of course, and I think many try to guess their own story through my story, but I think it was not really good because it can give a lot of disappointment. But anyway, it's nothing really we can do, and like more and more adoptees are looking for really actively, and it's more chance now to find because the Korean society is more open, and also adoptees themselves also are more trying and like kesok. But I mean, all adoptees don't want, especially to search also. It's like different level, I cannot say different stage of the adoption and process and thinking of their own adoption and background. And for me it was about when I was 20, and I think the Olympic game did a big click for me, because before I never thought about myself as a Korean because it was nothing good about. But after '88, it was something like I could be kind of proud of belong to Korea because they did something okay for the first time.
At that point in time, I decided to do a search. And I think that after speaking with so many different adoptees and hearing so many different stories, I guess I figured that, maybe I would be able to find something more than what I had. And I guess that, I figured too, it wouldn't hurt for me to try.
Being a Korean adoptee is one of the most difficult experiences, I think. You know, being sent out of a country and overseas and then trying to come back to a country which is which in its past has been so closed off because of its own political history, and being so nationalistic, so that if you don't speak the language, if you're not really Korean, you know, you're looked down upon. And yet so many people have so many guilty feelings and shameful feelings about sending us away. So it's like this catch-22, you know, but it's so difficult to come back here. And then the circumstances surrounding most of the adoptions, I mean, is not ideal. And most people, you know, don't want to talk about it, and it's pretty taboo. And so coming back and searching is not an easy process. I think that it's really important for adoptees to be as open as they can be. I mean, even outside of the search process, like coming back here, you just have to be open to whatever. You know, you really have to open up your mind and just kind of go with the flow, because otherwise you won't have a good time here. But in terms of the searches, I mean, to try and talk to as many people as possible that have experience with it, like both the good parts and the bad parts, and to say, well, you know, something like this could happen. I mean, you could find your birth mother, but she might not want to have anything to do with you. She might not want any contact, or both your parents might be dead, or your whole family might be dead. You might not find anything. So just to know, like, the extremes of what might happen. Because I knew when I was here in January, I mean, I had talked to enough people about their experiences to know that anything could happen. Or just to know that you might come here and the next day you might find somebody. You know, you might go to the police station, you find a name and you make a call and boom, there they are. But you also have to be really idealistic about, like, if you do find a family, like what kind of relationship they would want, because that runs the whole gamut too, about how much contact they want, or whether they just want to see you and then that's it, or if they want to try and cultivate a relationship again, or so it's so different depending on the circumstances of everything. And then with other people, the parents agree to meet them, but they don't tell the rest of the family about them. And so there's all these different things. I mean, it's so complex, the different situations. So it's just good to know as much as possible before, and to be open to whatever. And if you don't feel like you're open, really, then it might be good to wait until you feel like you're more open and can deal with anything. Because I mean, that's a lot to ask for, to be open to anything happening. You know, but that's really, I mean, you're really walking on a minefield when you go on your search, so.
I would say I'm more American than Korean, but part of me is Korean in a way, you know? Just because my brothers are Korean, my parents have sort of instilled that as part of me. And now I speak a little Korean, you know, I just get more and more familiar with it, and I have a lot of Korean friends, and I guess, but then, you know, you say, what is American though, you know? What is American really, right? Because like, a lot of times people, they talk, oh yeah, you know that American guy, and people, must be white, right? So maybe I'm just an American, if you open the definition to include all different varieties of people, right? But if you're thinking of American as just a white guy, then I'm definitely, I'd say, a Korean American, but not a Korean American like a Korean American who's been brought up in a Korean family, right? So I guess I'm an American Korean American. That sounds like something ultra PC, huh?
To know, you know, that there is another country out there, and that there's another world, and that not everybody does things the same way. That's something else I'll always take back. Like I said, I don't think I could ever be an all-American boy. Same way as I can never be an all-Korean boy either. You know?
I don't have to prove that I'm Korean. I don't have to prove that I'm Belgian. I don't have to show my ID card to prove that I'm a Belgian. And in Korea, I don't have to prove also that I'm Korean in speaking funny Korean. And you know, I can just be myself.
The journey back to Korea would be good for almost anybody, no matter how scared you are to come back, no matter how resistant you feel or reluctant. I think that overall, in general, anybody can get something out of it. I mean, especially Korean adoptees. I think that there is something to be gained. And it is a really scary experience, but you can do it.
They say that the eyes can't understand. They look to the soul for a helping hand. And every one of us still bleeds the same, regardless of a color or a family name. Let's break it down again, so you and I can see that fire